Hey friends, so I thought I'd show you what I'm playing around with today on New Year's Day. I posted and asked a few of you what if you had made or sent some sort of Christmas or winter holiday card, and what were your thoughts for this year if you do something different for 2021. And part of why I asked that is I didn't even send holiday cards before, like 4 years ago. And so I've made them for a few years now. I don't do handmade for everyone. Just time-wise, I try and select people who I think are more likely to like them or to appreciate, I guess, the handmade. But I try and learn a little bit from it each year because it is kind of a big task. And so how do I do it in a way that I will enjoy it? So that's really what a lot of it's about for me. And so 2.5 years ago, Tracy Ing did an event that was a Christmas in July. And so about 4 years ago, I bought a ton of these two papers, this red and this blue. And then after Christmas clearance, they clearanced it out pretty cheap at Michael's because they declared these Christmas colors. And I thought, those don't have to be Christmas. This could be Valentine's. They could be all sorts of things. So I bought a ton of it, and it sat in my room for, a year or two without being touched. And then Tracy did this Christmas in July event, and I thought I was going to make like hundreds of cards in that weekend. Lesson learned, I do not make that many cards that fast. But I took my paper, I took both the red and the blue in, and I had it cut in half. You can take it to a lot of different places that are like paper stores and or usually like printing type places, and they'll do one big cut for you. And so I had my blue and my red cut, and then I sat there at Christmas in July and I just folded card bases most of the time. That's pretty much all I did. People laughed at me because for a few events they're like, are you still folding card bases? And the answer was yes. But I actually used these red for the last 2 years in a row for my Christmas cards. And I still have some left. I just went through and sorted out a whole bunch of them, and I'm making Valentine's card kits for kids in my neighborhood. But I still, even with that, I still have some left. But I was thinking about this year. What do I want to use for this year as I get started? And I said, you know what? I'm not going to make them all identical, but it still helps me to narrow things down a bit. And so what I decided is what I'd narrow down is the color scheme, if you will. And so the first thing I decided was I'm going to use the blue that I have, because I haven't used the blue the last 2 years. I've used red. And so probably the main thing in common that all of my Christmas cards will be this blue for the card base. So today I've been folding some of those because I didn't have those all folded. I focused on the red. So even several years later, I still don't have all those folded. And the other thing I started to do was sort through some of my paper pads. So I love, if any of you have seen on YouTube, there is a crafter who is kind of influential, an influencer, and she will take a 6x6 paper pad. So it's Christy Marcotte that I'm talking about, Christy Marcotte. And she will take a 6x6 paper pad and she will use up the entire paper pad. And so she could make, maybe 30 or even 60 cards with just one paper pad. Obviously, they're not going to be identical because all the papers in here are not going to be identical. But I like the idea of doing something like that, so I may play with that. And I thought how perfect this pretty Winter Magic one that I already had. I didn't buy this with this in mind. I just happened to have it. But it, it's pretty cute with my blue paper. And so I think one of the projects I'm going to do, maybe even in the next week, is using my Winter Magic pad and my blue card base and make up a whole bunch of cards using that. So I thought that would be a fun one. Another one that I have is this Doodlebug design. It's Winter Wonderland. And again, although very different from the Winter Magic, it still also works well with that card base. So I might have fun just doing, again, just using the whole paper pad and playing with that and seeing how that goes. So I have those two. And the other thing I had done, this is a kit from Love from Lizzie, and Christy Marcotte uses her stuff a lot too. It's actually I've got two different kits going on in here. And I had thought, oh, this was the December kit. Let me actually pull this out. This right here is the December kit. I think it's actually this stamp set. So it comes with these cute winter stamps. I love that deer and then that cute little penguin. The fox is really pretty too. It comes with all of these little ephemera pieces as well, and those again go really well with that blue. So I thought I'd play with that. It has some different embellishment items. There's some ribbon, some of these dots, some glitter, and there's some little wood pieces in there. And then this paper pad, which again, I just pulled them out a few minutes ago and looked at them, but they go well with my blue. And then it has some stickers. These peel off stickers are kind of fun. It can make it look like like you had done another layer, but it's just the sticker. And then it does come with some just pretty specialty papers. So those, and then I had purchased to go with it. I love this stamp set, but of course, you know me, I love Arctic animals. And so I had to get the other set too with this cute little polar bear. And so I did buy another set of the peel-offs that are just this kind of sparkle. I think does it have its name on it? I'm not sure what it is, but it's like clear glitter. So it has some clear spots and some glitter. And then I did buy, this was just a little pad of paper from Love from Lizzie as well. That was also part of her December. It was one of the add-on options that goes really well. Just a lot of pretty papers, and it has more of those polar bears. And again, so it matches and coordinates well with these stamp sets and the rest of this, but again, works well with my blue. And so what I think I'm going to do is just play with, you know, they're not going to be identical, but just play with kind of using these colors and these paper pads. And I just thought I'd show you this because I think, although I just showed you a whole bunch of product, part of what really helps me, sometimes I get overwhelmed by too many options. And even though this is quite a bit, this is still nothing compared to like what's on the market or what I own. And so just by starting with that I was going to use this color as really my foundation, it helped to then narrow down. And I didn't go purchase any of these items with specifically thinking of those blue card bases. They were just things that I had purchased probably in the last year, or really in the last few months. But when I decided on my card bases, I just looked through what I had, and being able to narrow down to these colors really helped me with, now I have a few things to work with and play with, and it's so much less overwhelming because it's not all of my papers or everything. So I was thinking that maybe I'd give you guys a little bit of a challenge, and since a lot of you probably did not watch all the way through to this, I will post that separately. But the challenge I was going to give for the group is to think about if you were going to make holiday cards next year, either if you were going to make them all identical, that's fine too, but then pick something. So maybe it's a color pattern, maybe it's a specific stamp or a sentiment. Pick something that inspires you to start thinking about with it, to start narrowing down. Is there maybe even you know, it's that you just want to use reindeer and you have like 5 different reindeer sets. Or maybe it's that you think you're going to have your base be purple this year, or you really want to implement purple and what would go well with purple. Maybe you have a specific pad of paper that you'd really like to use. Maybe there's some other fun product like a snow-like product, or you know, specific tool you want to use. But think about something, and I'm going to challenge you. You don't need to make a single card this week, but I'm going to challenge you this first week of January to think about what is a product or what's something that inspires you for either, it could be all of your cards, or if you're going to do, you know, completely different ones, is there some sort of theme? Is there something for your very first card at least? And find something so that you pull that out of the one thing that you want to get started with first and that you're going to play with first. I have this one up here, but actually I think this week I want to really play with this one. But pick one thing, and I'm going to put up a challenge for you to let us know by the end of the week, did you pick your thing? And you don't even have to tell us what it is, because I know a lot of people, they want to keep their stuff that they make kind of secret because they're sending it to people, because I'm not actually showing you any finished cards and they're not going to be the same. I'm okay with you all knowing that here's basically the color scheme, and it's actually can vary quite a bit, right? Like, because if you get this card versus this, they're going to be pretty different. So most likely this year, if you get a card from me, it's not going to look like what somebody else got. So I'm okay with giving you a little bit of an idea of what I'm working on, because you don't still know what you're getting. So anyway, Happy New Year, everyone. Just thought I would put that together as just kind of a fun thing to be thinking about for this year. I hope that it is an incredible year for everyone. I love you guys. I'm so glad that some of you joined me last night for our Zoom, and we'll talk later.